Hello and welcome you guys. This is Richard Skilleter and today we're going to be talking about the power of revision. That's right guys, the power of revision. What is the power of revision? Well, revision is when you revise something. You revise it to the way that you want it to be. So we're going to give you some examples from Neville Goddard. That's right guys, some examples from Neville Goddard. Then we're going to get into the process right now and how powerful revision is. Revision is a tool that you use to change an outcome that you want. It's a visualization technique. It's a tool that you use to change the outcome that you want. It's more like something bad has happened to you and you want to change that. Let's say you got a letter in the mail. Let's say there's a friend that's not talking to you. Let's say it's a lover. Let's say it's you lost your job and you wanted a new job. Something like that. You want to revise the scene for the way that you wanted it to be, to change the reality and your outside circumstances to your 3D. So it's believing more in that reality than in your physical reality. Believing more in that reality than in your physical reality. In the inner world inside you. You got to believe more in that reality than in the outside reality. So how do you do it? Well, I'm going to tell you some stories right now about Neville. So Neville Goddard did revisioning on something that happened to him, and when he was like I think 37 or 38, he get drafted into the U.S. Army. Well, he didn't want to go in the Army at all. Okay, so he tried to get a discharge and they wouldn't give it to him. I think he went up to a sergeant or corporal and said, hey, I want a discharge, and they said, no, there's no possible way you can get out of the Army, and this was in World War II, so there's no way he could have got out of the Army. So what he did night after night is he visualized himself in his apartment in New York, and he did this night after night. He just visualized it and visualized him walking in his apartment, looking out the window, seeing the street below him, and he did that night after night. I think it was about 6, 7, 8 nights or something. I don't remember the story exactly. And then what happened is he got the paper and it said, oh, he got honorably discharged. So he didn't have to lift a finger for that to happen, and they said it was impossible for it to happen. He still doesn't know to this day how it happened, and I don't really think he cares. He just knows that he believed in his imagination. It was going to come to pass, and it did. So the whole point was this: is something that bad that happened that said there's no way, it's impossible, we cannot discharge you from the Army. And by the way, he got an honorable discharge. He didn't get a dishonorable discharge, which means he got all the benefits of somebody that's been in the Army. He got his severance package. He got all that by having an honorable discharge. So it just shows you the power of your thoughts for it to happen when you think it's impossible. When somebody higher up there, or even the law, says it's impossible, there's no way it could happen, to change the outcome of that. So that's just one story from Neville, how he learned the power of revision for something that looked impossible to become possible. So what you do is, let's say you have to use this technique, and it's better to use the technique right away. Let's say something bad happened to you. Let's say you got a check in the mail, and it was like a bad check, and it was a debt that somebody said, oh, I have this debt that I have to pay. Well, revise it so you have more money. Revise it to change it. Try to change stuff in your life. Try to change stuff in the moment to believe more in your imagination than you do in your physical reality. You got to believe more in the inner world than in the outer world. It's very important for anybody to use the process of revision. So what you do is you create a scene. You create a scene in your mind of how you want the outcome to be. So I want the outcome to be X, okay? Well, in Neville's case, he wanted his outcome to be back living in New York and having an honorable discharge. That was his big dream at that moment. That's what he was focused on. He did this night after night when he fell asleep. So you can do it too. I'm going to link another video up here about the most powerful technique, the 5 minutes before sleep. I'm going to link that right here so you guys can look at that, the process on how to fall asleep within your imagination to believe in it. So when using revision, you can use revision anytime. So sometimes I like to use revision when something bad happens to me. Let's say I'm having bad traffic. I'll close my eyes if I'm in traffic, or I'm not moving, and I'll try to imagine everything going smooth, things going faster, so on and so forth. Okay, I try to use revision when outcomes don't look the way that I want. I try to do it in that moment so I can believe more in my imagination than I do in my physical reality. So if let's say I'm having a fight with somebody. I try to change it right now. Maybe I'll step out of the room. I'll try to visualize us getting along, getting better, come back into in a vibrational state, and then change the outcome of that circumstance in my life. Well, this stuff will work for you too. Try to use revision right away when you have like a negative notice that something that happens to you. It could be a bill in the mail, could be losing your job. Try to revise it in a way that is better for the outcome for you. Always try to believe in your power of imagination. Believe in your power of revising it the way that you want. The whole point with revision is to come into the power of what you're looking for, which means you have this power within you and you want to change it to the outcome that you want. Whatever the negative circumstances are, you want to change it. So that's what I want to leave with you guys today, is the power of revision. Revise the scenes that you want, apply it in your life, and see what happens. All right, guys, take care. Bye.